Okay. How often do you take people out?
Right now it's Friday through Mondays I work, and I start at 11 in the morning and I go till sunset if I have people. So when summer starts, I'll go 7 days a week.
Okay. And then on your off days, do you go on
I
the magic or?
fill in wherever I can get work,
Hmm.
or I work up in the shop. So
Okay.
yeah.
So all the commercial fishermen just work out of the landing then? That's
The sport
sport
fishermen.
fishing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
the passenger vessel boats. Yeah.
Today is Friday, 6/7/24, and it is 10:10. I'm here with,
Tabitha Stamback.
and Tabby. What is your occupation?
I'm a captain.
And where were you born?
I was born in King City, so an hour and 15 minutes north of here.
And how did you get here to Morro Bay?
We grew up fishing here when I was little with my family, and right after graduation, I moved here and haven't left.
Wow. And so when you came here, did you go sport fishing or have anything to do with going out in the water, anything like that?
Yeah, when I moved here, I started helping out on the party boats as a pinhead. So you do all the work of a deckhand, but you don't get paid as much. Just learning the ropes, and then I started working full time, and then got my license, and now I'm here.
Mhm. And besides the party boating, you captain different the magic,
I do
and
the magic. I've worked almost all the sport boats here in the harbor.
mhm.
Most of them I've worked on or captained as well.
Did you ever do any commercial fishing?
I commercial fished for 3 years, I believe, with Bill Blue, and I worked a little bit with Bob Maharry as a fill-in and whatnot.
And so Bill was doing rock cod, that black cod at that time,
Black cod and dungeness crab.
and what was Bob doing?
Dungeness crab.
Dungeness.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Can you speak to those experiences at all? Like, where did you go? Just how
Uh,
was it on the boat?
Most of the time we fished out of Morro Bay here. For crab season, we went up to San Francisco and we fished out of there for a couple months until fishing slowed down, and then we came back home.
Mhm.
So some nights, some trips we'd stay for a couple nights. Some days it was just same day trip. So
And so was it just you two on the boat, or was there?
sometimes it was just me and Bill, and most of the time we had a third person.
Mhm. And kind of, I guess, moving back a little bit, what was your first job here in Morro Bay on the water? Do you remember your first job?
On the water, I was fishing. I guess it would probably my first actual job on the water would be I worked on the Admiral with Captain Charlie. That boat's no longer around. It's up in Alaska as a tender now. But 70 or no, a sorry, 90-foot boat. We take 75 people out on the weekends. Take them out fishing.
That's cool. And how long did you do that?
A couple years, and then I was needed on another boat, so you get a better offer, so you jump around trying to make a buck.
So you've worked with a lot of the people,
I've
like
worked with
almost everyone,
a
it
lot of
seems like.
people, a lot of them. Yeah, I jumped around and go from one boat to another, and I like trying different stuff too. So
And so what kind of fisheries were you doing? You said you did black cod, dungeness, and then you ever do
sport.
albacore?
I fished albacore sport. That was fun. Salmon. I love fishing salmon sport. I didn't get to do much salmon fishing commercial. A little bit, not a whole lot. But I did a lot of sport salmon.
Have you ever fished uh, inland? Your brother said he's never,
No,
never, you've
no,
never either.
no. I fished once out of a pond, and that was it. Yeah, I don't leave the coast too often. I took my first road trip 2 years ago. I left California for the first time.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was definitely an eye opener.
Did you go north or?
I went north. Yeah.
Oregon?
Montana.
Montana.
Yeah,
Okay.
went all the way up to Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it.
Wow.
Loved
So
it.
you've probably traveled the coast in a boat, but
I
never on land.
never on land. Yeah, as far up as I've really driven in a car is Eureka, and then I stay as far south as Pismo Beach.
Wow.
I
Okay.
don't,
Yeah.
a little, sometimes Ventura, Santa Barbara, not too often though.
Tried and true local.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I stay real close,
Hmm.
real close inland. I mean, coast-wise.
Yeah.
So
And so when you got here to Morro Bay, could you kind of just describe, I guess, like the feel of the town? Was it a little smaller?
it was a
Was the
lot,
harbor
lot smaller, lot less people. Winters were a ghost town compared to what they are now. It's definitely grown. Everyone comes here all year round now. I remember the day that I moved out. I moved from King City. I graduated the day before. It was 117 degrees. I came here and it was like under 60. I was freezing cold. Now I acclimated. I love it.
Hmm. And do you think the growth of the town has been, I guess, to the detriment of the small town community and the feel? Or do you think that it's kind of just like how it's always been? There's commercial fishing or sport fishing back in like the 50s. Do you think it's always been a part of the town, or do you think it's been, hurtful to people's livelihoods and fishing?
The regulations and laws definitely taken a toll on fishing around here for sure. People wise, there's still a lot of people that come out, but we lost a lot of customers when regulations changed 2 years ago for vermilion rockfish, versus now it's only you can only keep 2. Before you could keep 4, and before that you could keep 10, and that's the most prized fish around here is the vermilion.
Mm-hmm.
But with regulations change, it's definitely hurt our business, not so much the town, but because there's people come to just get away out of the heat.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Is there any other regulations that you think that were hurtful to you? Anything like rockfish or zones or anything like that?
Regulations last year, we had to fish same with this year. The last 3 months we have to fish outside of 50 fathoms, and that becomes dangerous for the small boaters, small sport guys. That's when our bad weather comes, wind, swell. Can't get out there half the time. Mm-hmm. And once you catch your couple reds, you can't find anything else that wants to bite outside of 50 fathoms. Where normally we would catch our couple reds and then go in the shallows and catch the assorted fish, our blue rockfish, gophers, just anything other than a vermilion. So it's definitely hurts the business that way too. Mm-hmm. Especially deckhands, when you don't have fish to clean, you don't make any money. So it definitely hurt the deckhands for sure.
When you were in between jobs, or maybe like deckhanding, did you find that you had to have a second job to be able to sustain yourself?
Yeah, most definitely. They shut the season down for 4 months, 3 to 4 months, depending on when they allow you to open. So from December 31st till April 1st to May 1st, depending when they open it, that's you got to find other work.
And did you find other work here in the harbor, or did you go to like a restaurant or something like that?
I went. I would find odd and end jobs to do, boat work. A lot of times, these boats don't get any love during the season because you're running every day. So that's your time to catch up and paint it, make it look pretty for the next season. So you would get that, but it's not enough to live on, especially nowadays.
Mm-hmm. And did you find a lot of the fishermen that I've talked to have found themselves becoming like do it themselves handymen, like they know everything, how to do everything?
I've picked up a lot of different I don't know what you call it, skills. Yeah, I guess skills. Yeah, from fiberglassing to learning how to weld to working on an engine, changing the oil and stuff, to wiring. You kind of just learn it all.
Have you ever like broken down in the water and had to fix it?
Yeah, a few times. But somehow or another, you just learn. It's like, okay, you do enough maintenance on it, you learn how the engine works. So if something does happen, you can trace it down. And being a girl, I kind of catch a little more flack from the guys for, oh, well, you're just a girl. Like, what happens if you break down? I can fix most of the things. I mean, if it's minor, nothing major, but I can get us back home mostly. Unless, if not, I mean, my brother, he has 2 boats, so I run the other if wherever he needs me.
And on that point, are you part of the Women in Fisheries?
I am.
Women for Fisheries in Central Coast?
Yes, I'm part of that organization.
And do you do any, I guess, like promotion or
I haven't
within the community?
The last couple of years, before when I fished on my days, I lived on the water. It seemed like if I wasn't working on the water, I was having fun fishing on the water. I donated all my fish for the Women's for Fisheries Fish Fry. It was a fundraiser that they did, so I would help out tremendously with that. The last couple of years, I haven't done much. I've slacked. I've been busy jumping around trying to find work. But yeah, I'm part of that.
And do you still find the sentiment that, being a woman, it's the male fishermen kind of look down on you still, or now that you've kind of worked your way through it, now they
most of the guys are really, really cool, and most of the guys for who I've worked for, they stand up for me. They know who I've worked for, so I get treated like the little sister, so they get kind of protective of me. On the charter boats, I catch a little more flack than on the commercial side, for sure. I help people tie their lines up in the morning. Oh no, I'll wait. I'll let him do it. Okay. We tie the same knot, but okay. Or running my brother's boat. I'm the only person working on the boat, so I'm taking, 3 other people out fishing. Oh, do you know what you're doing? I've been on the water for 17 years. I've on the water more in a year than most people are in their lifetime. So I have a little bit of experience.
Yeah. And have you ever had any, I guess, positive experiences maybe with like bringing a kid on the boat?
Or something? Having the kids on the boat are great, especially first timers. I like having the kids. They get so excited over catching the smallest fish, and then when they catch a really big one, they get really excited. I know one little girl, she was in 3 or 4, Jade, and I helped her catch her first fish, and now she's like 16, and she loves fishing, and she still tells her dad about me, which is really cool.
Yeah, good role model to
exactly. Yeah, and it's a good, like, I get people, oh, it's a great role model to show my daughter or granddaughter that girls can do any job,
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. It's cool. I guess that's one of the challenges you face when getting into it. I guess you still face it now, but
not as much.
Yeah, if there's any others that come to mind, any challenges when you got into it, maybe pay or like housing or or anything like that?
I mean, when I first got into fishing, you obviously have to work your way up from the bottom. It's not like, oh, you get paid a minimum wage. It doesn't work like that in fishing. You get a percentage. So when you start at the bottom, you get paid bottom of the barrel, basically. But I stuck through it, and everything worked out. I got my license, so now I get to run boats and have other people as my deckhand.
Was that license process difficult? I know it's like Jimmy, Jimmy Spencer.
Yeah.
He said his was like 30 questions or something, or 50 questions, and that was it. But now
mine
it's pretty
was
extensive.
I don't remember. I think mine was close to 100. But you take a class for 2 weeks, and then they quiz you every day on the stuff you learn, and then you take one big test altogether. And the class itself was pretty easy. Testing was okay. It was hard, but if you paid attention in class, like, you can get it. And then you gotta, background check and drug tests, and you have to have so many. I think it's 750 hours in the last 5 years in order to qualify to get your license. Renewal's a little easier. You just got to get a physical, CPR, and all that stuff. But the initial license itself was definitely a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just give them out in the Cracker Jack boxes.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that the captain's license? That's separate from like your commercial license as well?
Yes.
And is that just a fee to pay?
A commercial license?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just, you just buy it from the state of California.
Was that like a hindrance, like a too expensive or very expensive?
It could be.
To buy?
Most of the time, your captain would buy it for you. Like, Bill would buy mine, and then I just work it off or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't too bad. Long as you're working, you're good.
Yeah. Is that a yearly renewal, or is that
every year?
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a regular fishing license, except it's really expensive. A couple $100, I think, now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. And we're gonna go back to regulation real fast.
That's fine.
Has there been any that you think is, not harmed you, or like been helpful to the fishing, maybe community, but also like the ecosystem, like the actual fish out in the ocean? Some people have talked about like the closure of the salmon season. Some have really hated it because it's
it really sucks for especially commercial salmon, even sport salmon up in the city where it's, you catch your limit in no time, but if they don't even get a chance to see what's out there, they just go by numbers going up the river. But sea lions eat salmon, whales eat salmon, so it's like we're not the only ones taking them. So, but then you close it for a couple of years, and then they have like a really amazing next season that they do open it, so.
Is there any others that may have helped? The flip side is that some, like Mark Tomazzini, he said he liked that they closed it because it was suffering.
Yeah.
And then I talked to someone else, and it sucks.
Yeah, it's a flip flop. I mean, I think the guys that it hurts the worst are the ones that need the money to fish. Like, that's all they do. If they only salmon fish, then they don't get to fish at all, But then again, it definitely helps with the following year when they do open it, because then there's way more fish.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that when you were fishing with someone that split their time, like Bill, done like crabs and then black cod, that they were a little more they're able to pull in more profit rather than someone who is just,
Single. Well,
yeah.
if you fish single, you're not fishing all year. Some guys have to fish all year to make a living. Most fishermen do. You know, they the profit margin on fishing nowadays is so slim. Fuel's so expensive, bait's expensive. By the time you pay your crew and everything, you're not making hardly anything, you know?
Mm-hmm. Were you ever a part of the selling process at all, or you know,
I
processing part when you were doing commercial?
all I did was unload it. We'd fish it, we unload it, and then where it went from there was out of my hands. So I know we had some that would go up to like San Jose or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. One guy would come down and sell it at his farmers markets.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And how is the price changed? Was it always low price or 25 cents, I think, to per fish or per pound?
It goes by the pound, so different sizes for black cod are different prices. Um, it's about the same, I
From when you
guess.
started?
While I did it, crab price would fluctuate tremendously, but I think now it's even harder just because fuel's so expensive, which makes everything else expensive. Bait, groceries, all that stuff, all that comes off the top before you get your percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And do you think the market demand, like for fish, people's demand for fish has gone down, or has it gone up? Has that and that has an effect on you guys?
I think it's probably about the same, but just people can't afford it. You know, everything, like I said, everything is so expensive that it's like, in order for the fishermen to make money on it, they have to sell it for a certain price, which drives the price up, the ending cost at the market, And Mark keeps his prices, I would say, the most, like, the lowest you're going to find, the best price. He tries to be fair to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
He's the most fair to the fisherman and to the consumer, and it's the freshest around.
And do you buy local yourself? Just
I
to
do.
kind of...
I always try to buy either straight from the fisherman, or I'll buy from dockside once in a while if I absolutely need something, or I catch it myself.
And do you think that the other fishermen, maybe sport fishermen, feel the same, or also buy local?
I think they do, especially we get the guys that go sport fishing and they want to catch their limit. Of course, everyone wants to catch their limit, but they're real bummed if they're not big because, that's how I'm feeding my family. Well, it's fishing. You can't just scoop them up. You do have to, and sometimes fish don't bite. You can't do anything when they don't bite. That's not on us. Fish are down there. You can see them on the meter. But I and I think for the most part, people would rather buy local, support the local economy for sure.
Mm-hmm. And your customers, do you think they are repeat locals, or are they tourists, or
I would
is it
say
kind of split?
it's pretty much split down the center for that. During the week, we get a lot of locals that come out. The weekends, pretty much guaranteed a tourists, but they all want the same thing. They want fresh local fish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not sure if you're kind of part of the anti-wind farm, or maybe you're pro-wind farm, but do you think that installing that wind farm, or cracking down on regulations, is that going to be a detriment to the fishing industry?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have spots where you're not going to be able to go because of that. There's all the maintenance and fees on that. The oil that does spill, those things puke oil up like crazy. I don't know how they would even stop that. I mean, they're worried about emissions on engines for the sport guys. They're going to shut them down next year, supposedly, if they don't have a tier 3 engine. And they want to stick a windmill out in the middle of the ocean. Good luck with that. Yeah, I think it would definitely hurt the commercial fishermen and sport fishing as well. It's going to hurt everyone.
Do you guys go up to that area that they're proposing to? Or you just kind of...
We have, yeah. I mean, I think anyone that's traveled in the boat up or down the coast is gonna run into it eventually.
Mm-hmm. Are you part of that React? I think it was Lori Hafer that started that.
I'm not part of that stuff, but I am with the guys. I support the anti-wind farms for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you educate your passengers on what's going on around here, or?
Some of them ask. Most of the time, if they ask, I'll tell. But I'm not gonna shove it down their throat. If they know and they ask, I'll tell them best I know.
Mm-hmm. And for these companies that are, coming in to try and industrialize Morro Bay, do you think there is maybe a middle ground that can be reached with them, or do you think it's just kind of a tsunami that's coming and you can't really stop it?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, if you get enough guys together, you might be able to stop it, but I think some of those companies already have their mindset and they have the money to back it, whereas smaller people don't.
And do you think these farms are, like what they are, like green energy? Are they green energy? Are they what they claim to be? Or do you
I don't think so. I mean, I've seen them elsewhere, There's some in Montana. Those things puke oil. I mean, I'm sure they're not going to be obviously they're not going to be the same exact ones because those are on a mountain. But at the same time, how can they be completely different,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess to end on a little lighter note, what are some of your favorite memories of being out in the water? Fishing, maybe with your brother or your family, or maybe on the party boat, interactions with customers.
There's so many. My favorite, I love seeing the whales. Watching the orcas are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We ran into a pod of them one time and they were just chewing on another. I know it's not very nice, but it's chewing on another whale. But it's like once in a lifetime opportunity to see in person, Pretty cool. And other memories, just when I was little, growing up fishing on my dad's boat with my dad and my mom, my family. I don't get that anymore, so it's definitely one I hold close.
Mm-hmm. And not sure if do you have kids?
I don't have kids. That's my kid.
Okay. Yeah.
No kids.
Yeah. I was gonna ask if you think your descendants would take up the fishing industry.
Oh, yeah. My nieces, I have nieces and nephews, and it's a 50-50. My nephews love it. My nieces, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope my nephews, when they come over, they always go fishing. So that's always fun.
So there's a hope for the continuation of fishing in Morro Bay.
I love seeing young kids out. It means there's another generation that want to go fishing. Mm-hmm. Keep it alive.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks for speaking with me.
Thank you.